In this episode of American Greed, he was born at the top of the world and the bottom of the ladder. Lobsang Dargey, a poor Buddhist monk from Tibet. He comes to America with dreams of climbing that ladder and trading his robe for riches.
He was a force of nature.
Well, he's a fascinating person.
He marries a woman who can open doors from a family of American sports royalty.
He's engaging, he's unstoppable.
We have a very successful project, and I've done a really good job. I want to thank you.
This dude's doing stuff.
This dude's living the American dream and selling it to wealthy Chinese investors.
A record number of Chinese are looking to get into the United States, and they are willing to pay big money to make it happen.
He did something crazy.
This was a fraud that was snowballing and just getting bigger and bigger and out of control.
$120 million are on the table, and the dreams of 250 immigrant investors are about to go up in smoke.
They would be asked to leave the country immediately. They would be deported.
And when the feds come calling, his own dream becomes a nightmare.
On camera.
The former monk isn't talking, but American Greed has the inside story from those who thought they knew him best.
He's a driven person where nothing gets in his way. If you're asking me, did he need to be stopped? Absolutely.
Dawn breaks on the upscale Seattle suburb of Bellevue. Tucked into the hillside is a multi-million-dollar mansion with a swimming pool in the backyard and a Bentley in the garage. It's the home of a prominent Seattle real estate developer named Lobsang Dargey and his wife, Tammy Agassi, the sister of tennis great Andre Agassi. Lobsang and Tammy would appear to have it all, but a knock at the door is about to change all of that.
So Lobsang's sleeping, I'm up early with the twins, and the FBI knocks on our door.
Mr. Dargey came out in his underwear. We told him to put some clothes on, and then we sat down and tried to talk to Mr. Dargey.
The feds have a lot of questions for Lobsang, like how he financed his mansion and his Bentley. What is he doing with his investors' money, and why is he lying about it?
Money was continuing to come in and being misappropriated.
There's no way to defend falsifying a bank statement.
And it was clear to us that there were going to be huge losses for investors.
On the same day, federal agents raid Dargey's offices, leaving his longtime colleagues stunned.
There's men and women and FBI windbreakers everywhere, pulling computers off desks, shoving stuff in boxes.
It was very scary. There was probably 15 FBI agents looking at you, wondering what you did wrong.
Tammy Agassi is suddenly looking at her husband and wondering the same thing.
Our world blew up because I needed to know if I was married to a criminal.
Tammy will soon discover that her husband is more than just a common criminal. His life is a corruption of the American dream.
It was, in all respects, an American success story if he didn't take a wrong way turn.
Born in 1973, Lobsang Dargey comes from stark beginnings. The youngest of three sons toiling on a small Tibetan farm without electricity or running water. It's a far cry from a mansion in Bellevue.
From what I understand, Lobsang had a very, very hard upbringing. I know that they were very poor, that he didn't even get his first toothbrush till he made it to India at 19 or 20.
Grew up in a small hut. They would burn yak dung for fuel. It was that humble.
At 13, Lobsang is shipped off to a Buddhist monastery to become a monk. It's not the boy's choice. It's economic necessity. Conditions there are harsh. Lobsang is lonely and eventually in great danger.
Over the past 2 years, the Chinese army has clashed with local people 4 times. Tibetan monks led demonstrators in demanding independence from Chinese rule.
The uprising in Tibet sends Lobsang running for his life. He treks 2,800 miles across the Himalaya mountains to find refuge at the Dalai Lama's Kirti Monastery in Dharamshala, India. For a devout Buddhist monk, Kirti is a holy place. But Lobsang finds another calling here: business. He has a gift for haggling at the local market that earns him the formal role of business monk.
You don't really think of ambition when you think of Tibetan monks. And he was the business side of the monastery. And so maybe that started the little seed of being an entrepreneur, being in charge of the money of the monastery.
As business monk, Lobsang befriends Western travelers visiting the monastery. While the tourists see a charming young holy man, he may see a ticket to pursue his true calling in America.
One of the Western travelers that he met, he would cold call her all hours of the day. And finally, just because he badgered her to death, she finally said okay and sent a letter of invitation.
Dargey's ticket is punched and his bags are packed. The enterprising young business monk is on his way to America. In this strange new land of milk and honey, Dargey is broke, but wide-eyed with ambition. He sees freedom, wealth, and opportunity all around him, and he wants some.
He gets here to America and it's like, hey man, this is like a circus. Everything's gravy after what I've been through.
Joe's Lab, Dargey's friend and former vice president, has a front row seat to his transformation.
Rules? Sure, I'll obey the rules, but I don't necessarily know all the rules, and I'm just gonna go whole hog. I'm gonna do everything I can. I'm gonna be unstoppable.
What do we want? China! What do we want?
In Seattle, Lobsang finds many of the locals sympathetic to the plight of an exiled Tibetan monk. With their help, he picks up odd jobs. He's known around town as the painting monk.
I actually know a realtor who knew him as the painting monk and how he would carry his ladder and paints on the bus, which was against all the rules.
Stacy Keach here, feeling greedy for more videos like this one? Then be sure to like and subscribe right here on CNBC Prime.